The EU just told TikTok and Meta, we know you're hiding something, and the fine could be in the billions. And honestly, both companies' excuses are chef-level kiss corporate nonsense. Hey everyone, so the European Union just dropped a regulatory equivalent of we need to talk on TikTok and Meta, and it's spicy. The EU basically said, you're making it way too hard for researchers to see what you're doing, and we think that's on purpose. Pay us billions of dollars. And both companies responded with the most corporate speak humanly possible. Let's break down this drama. Okay, so here's what happened. The European Commission, which is basically the EU's executive arm that goes around making sure tech companies play by the rules, just released their preliminary findings saying TikTok and Meta violated the Digital Services Act. What's the Digital Services Act? Think of it as the EU's big tech, we're watching you legislation. It's this massive set of rules designed to keep people safe online and make sure platforms aren't just doing whatever they want with zero accountability. The specific violations for both TikTok and Meta, they made it unnecessarily difficult, bordering on impossible, for researchers to access public data. Not private data, public data. The stuff that's, already out there. Why does this matter? Because researchers need this data to study whether users, especially kids, are being exposed to harmful or illegal content. A little things like hate speech, misinformation, or content that might mess with teenagers' mental health. For Meta, specifically, Facebook and Instagram, they failed to provide simple ways for users to report illegal content and challenge moderation decisions. So basically, the EU is saying, you're making it hard to report bad stuff, hard to appeal when you even get wrongly censored, and hard for researchers to even study what's happening on your platforms. What are you hiding? Now here's where it gets entertaining, because both companies gave responses that are peak corporate doublespeak. Meta's response: we disagree with any suggestion that we have breached the DSA. We've made changes to our content reporting, appeals process, and data access tool since the DSA came into force and are confident these solutions match what is required. Translation: we did the bare minimum, and we're shocked. We're shocked you're calling us out for it. TikTok's response, now this one is incredible. TikTok basically said, look, you're asking us to be transparent under the DSA, but you also have the GDPR privacy rules, and these two laws are in direct tension with each other. We can't comply with both. You need to give us clarity on how to reconcile these obligations. Translation: Your Honor, I can't be expected to follow two laws at the same time. That's unreasonable. Please tell us which laws we're allowed to break. I cannot emphasize how galaxy-brained this defense is. TikTok is essentially arguing the European transparency law and European privacy law contradict each other. So Europe needs to figure out before TikTok can be held accountable. It's like getting pulled over for speeding and telling the cop, officer, the speeding limit sign said 55, but the highway is designed for 70. So you tell me what's the problem and who the problem is. Here's the thing though, TikTok kind of has a point. Not a good point, but they have a point. The EU wants platforms to be transparent and give researchers access to data. The EU also has incredibly strict privacy laws, GDPR, that protects user data. These two things can be in tension. But, and this is a big but, the issue isn't that it's impossible to comply. The issue that TikTok and Meta made it unnecessarily burdensome. According to the EU's finding, the procedures and tools these companies created for researchers were so complicated and restricted that researchers ended up with partial and unreliable data. That's not, we're trying to balance privacy and transparency. That's, we're making this annoying and impossible so people give up. So, what's on the line here? And these preliminary findings are confirmed, and both companies have a chance to respond and defend themselves. The EU can fine them up to 6% of their annual global revenue. Yeah, global revenue. Let's do some quick math. That's 2024 revenue, 150 billion. 6% of that is 9 billion. TikTok, 120 billion. 6% of that, 7.2 billion. We're not talking about a slap on the wrist. We're talking about billions with a capital B. And this isn't even Meta's first time. Meta already got hit with a $200 million fine under the Digital Markets Act early this year. TikTok got slapped with a $530 million fine for transferring data to China. At this point, these fines are just the cost of doing business in Europe. It's like a subscription fee. EU regulatory compliance, only $500 million per year. Here's what's really happened. The EU is the only regulatory body on Earth actually willing to hold big tech accountable. And big tech, well, they hate it. In the US, Congress holds hearings where Mark Zuckerberg questions like, how does the internet work? And then nothing happens. In the EU, they draft comprehensive legislation, enforce it aggressively, and hand out multi-billion-dollar fines like Oprah handing out cars. You get a fine, you get a fine. Everybody gets a fine. I love that both companies are essentially arguing, well, this is too hard. You're worth hundreds of billions of dollars. You have armies of engineers, lawyers, compliance officers. You build algorithms so sophisticated, they can predict what I want to buy before I even want to buy it. But making a simple data portal for researchers, providing a straightforward report, a legal content button, that's too complicated. Sure, okay. Jokes aside, this actually matters. We need independent researchers to be able to study what's happening on social media platforms. We need to know if kids are being pushed harmful content. We need to understand how misinformation spreads. We need data on mental health impacts, radicalization patterns, election interference. And with platforms making it possible for researchers to access this data, we're not just violating regulations. They're actively preventing society from understanding the impact of their products. It's like if pharmaceutical companies could block researchers from studying side effects on drugs. That would be insane, right? Right? I think so. But somehow, when it's social media algorithms affecting billions of people's brains, we just let it slide. The EU is saying, actually, no, we're not letting it slide. So what happens next? Both companies will submit their responses. They'll probably negotiate. There will be meetings, amendments, compliance promises, and eventually a final decision will come down. Will they pay billions? Maybe. Will they actually make it easier for researchers to see data? We'll see. But the EU has proven they're willing to back their regulations with massive financial penalties, which is more than governments can say. What do you think? Is the EU overreaching, or are they the ones actually holding big tech accountable? Do TikTok and Meta have a legitimate point about conflicting regulations, or are they just making excuses? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you want more breakdowns of tech companies getting called out for their shady practices, hit the subscribe button. Remember, transparency isn't optional. It's a legal requirement, unless you're rich enough to just pay the fine, apparently. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one.